Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Alright guys, I'm back. It's April 19th, Sunday, and it is now 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. I've just uploaded the first video. This is the second, and this is going to be news and information. I hope you guys are doing well. I pray that you are. I know it's been tough on all of us, this whole self-isolating and all that social distancing, and it just, I think it really is hard on everyone. I think it just seems strange not to be able to get in the car and go and do what you want to do without being hassled by anybody. I can't wait until those days come back. If they come back, I sure hope they do. I think they'll come back a whole lot quicker in the States than they will Canada, but I guess we'll have to see. All right, so I do have a couple people to thank, and I want to do that. So coffee donors, Sherry and Anita Y. Sumter. Thank you very much for your coffee donation. I appreciate that. And also picked up a couple of Patreon subscribers, Juanita D. and Lynette Scorzato. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Lynette. Anyway, I've never seen Lynette spelled that way, but I kind of like that spelling. So anyway, we are going to jump right in now to the news and information, and let's get at it. Pitter patter, let's get at her. All right, now, in no particular order, here are some news items that I thought might be of interest to you. All right, look at this. 358 cases of COVID-19 now linked to Cargill meat plant outbreak. 358 cases. The meat packing plant is located south of Calgary, and I understand that there are meat plants in the States. There was a Tyson plant, and I'm not sure another plant that is contaminated and has been shut down, and you know, they're saying that there's going to be a shortage of meat. I would suggest that if you have the money to, that you go out and stock up on meat. I would really suggest that, because when they say there's going to be a shortage, it's not just the shortage, it's the people panicking that you have to be aware of. So you know that people are going to panic and go out and buy everything. So you have to kind of be ahead of them, or else you're just not going to have meat for a while. So I would suggest, if you have the money to do so, that you should. All right. There are now hundreds of cases of COVID-19 linked to an outbreak involving a southern Alberta meat packing plant. The province's chief medical officer of health confirmed Friday households with connection to the Cargill plant in High River, about 60 kilometers south of Calgary, now represent 358 cases. Dr. Dina Hinshaw said the number represents 15% of Alberta's total COVID-19 cases. So 15% of all of Alberta's cases come from this one place, the Cargill meat plant. A dedicated team is now working to track this outbreak, Hinshaw said. United Food and Commercial Workers Canada Union Local 401 President Thomas Hess said his union had previously recommended that the facility be closed for at least 2 weeks while plans were formulated. It's a tragedy. We asked days and days ago for that plant to be closed temporarily for 2 weeks, send all of our workers home with pay to isolate, Hess said Friday. That was when we were aware of 38 cases. That was before they set up a dedicated testing facility in the area. We'll never know how much lower that number might have been. True, true, true. All right. Now, I'm not going to read any more of that, because, of course, most of that's probably not going to apply to most of you. I do have listeners in Canada, but the majority of my listeners are in the United States. All right. So let's go back here. And let's hit on this. You may have heard of this, if I'm correct in what this is pointing to. You may have heard this already, and everybody needs to know this, and I do mean everybody. Okay, this is a cryptocurrency system using body activity data, and it is a patent owned by, you guessed it, Bill Gates. And I'm not exactly sure how this is supposed to work, but this is the patent for it. And it says, in English, human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in a mining process of a cryptocurrency system. A server may provide a task to a device of a user which is communicatively coupled to the server. A sensor communicatively coupled to or comprised in the device of the user may sense body activity of the user. Body activity data may be generated based on the sensed body activity of the user. The cryptocurrency system communicatively coupled to the device of the user may verify if the body activity, that's a whole other type of activity. Anyway, body activities data satisfies one or more conditions set by the cryptocurrency system and award cryptocurrency to the user whose body activity data is verified. Now, I don't know about you, but I believe that this has a massive, like humongous, colossal, ginormous ability to be used for evil. And since it's Bill Gates, what do you think it's going to be used for? Evil. I can see all sorts of ways in which this could, work. But basically, this is using like something in your body that senses what you're doing in your activity, and maybe it rewards you for doing the right thing, and doesn't reward you for doing the wrong thing. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work, but it's interesting. And look at the this is publication number WO 2020 060606 666. I'm sure it's only a coincidence, right? They wouldn't be, it's got to be a coincidence. Sure. All right, we may visit that later on. I'm not sure if I've put anything more in here about that or not. I can't remember. But let's look at this. And, sorry, first day with the new fingers. It's the only excuse I can think of. Sorry. Hope you guys can hear me all right. I'm just going to check something over here. Yes, we're recording and we're doing fine. All right. You never know. Wouldn't be the first time that I thought I was recording and wasn't, or when I thought that the sound was working and it wasn't. So, all right. Top vaccine inventors give out stark warnings on Bill Gates' fast-tracked COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Paul Oft, co-inventor of rotavirus V, I'm just going to call it V because it's being, censored like everything. I just worry in this era of panic here, that we, not we as researchers, but we as a public would be willing to accept something that hasn't been thoroughly tested. And you could see where that would happen, that they'd be so quick to push this through that it would not have been properly tested and, could end up being worse than the disease that it's supposedly supposed to cure. All right, and Professor Ian Fraser, now don't get me wrong, wouldn't matter how much it was tested, I still wouldn't take it. That's just me though. That's a conviction of mine because I know what damage they can do. Professor Ian Fraser, co-inventor of HPV vaccine, immunization with SARS corona vaccine caused in animals inflammation in the lungs, which wouldn't otherwise have been there if the V hadn't been given. So if you're if they're trying to immunize someone with SARS or corona, it causes inflammation in animals. It causes inflammation in the lungs, which, as you know, can be deadly. That wouldn't be good. So this is Dr. Peter Hotez, Dean of the National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor College of Medicine. I understand the importance of accelerating timelines for Vs in general, but from everything I know, this is not the V to be doing it with. So there you go. I mean, these are three men that know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about, and they are all warning about this. So I think we would do well to take their advice over Bill Gates, who's not even a doctor, has no medical training whatsoever, but is a very staunch eugenicist. Yeah, that's not a good person to accept a V from. You know, if somebody is a eugenicist and wants to depopulate the earth, yeah, that's not the best person to be accepting anything medical from, to tell you the truth. All right, so let's go on. All righty, and this from Newsweek, exclusive, as Washington, D.C. faces CV spike, a secret military task force prepares to secure the Capitol. Now, I found this curious, and I know it's coming from Newsweek, so you never know. They're not the most unbiased news source there is, but they're better than some, like CNN. I mean, everybody's better than CNN. CNN, they just should put fiction on that, really. They should just put, you know, this is just for entertainment value only, something like that. There should be a warning on it. Anyway, let's look at this. Okay, District of Columbia Mayor Muriel Bowser said yesterday ordered a 1-month extension of the state of emergency as cases in the region grow at a rapid pace. Federal officials in the nation's capital expect a New York-like epidemic in the district, Maryland, and Virginia, one that could potentially cripple the government. No one wants to talk evacuation, especially when there's nowhere to go, says a senior military officer working on continuity of government planning. He requested anonymity because he is not authorized to speak on the record. But a little-known military task force charged with evacuating Washington has already been activated, a task force charged with the most sensitive government mission of securing Washington in the face of attackers, foreign and domestic, and, if necessary, moving White House and other key government offices to alternative locations. Activated on March 16th, Joint Task Force National Capital Region is chartered to defend Washington on land, in the air, and even on its waterfronts. The Special Task Force, the only one of its kind in the country, demonstrates how there are two sides of government preparedness: the public face and even the day-to-day work of most men and women assigned to JTF NCR, which is the Joint Task Force National Capital Region, is the same as it is everywhere else in the country: medical support, delivering supplies, manning health check stations. But behind the scenes, JTF NCR is responsible for what the military calls homeland defense, what to do in the face of an armed attack on the United States, everything from guarding Washington skies to preparing for the civil unrest that could occur if a nuclear weapon were detonated in the Capitol. Oh, let's pray that never happens. But most immediate, JTF NCR is charged with facilitating continuity of government, particularly moving civil and military leaders to secret locations where the order given to evacuate the city. Ever since National Guards started to activate countrywide, Pentagon officials have insisted that men and women in uniform are not conducting secret missions and that they will not administer or enforce stay-at-home quarantines. The Pentagon has also rejected reports, including articles in Newsweek, about martial law or other extreme contingency plans, arguing that the Guard remains under strict control of state governors while federal troops support civil agencies like FEMA. And yet the activation of Joint Task Force National Capital Region, including almost 10,000 uniformed personnel to carry out its special orders, contradicts those assurances. JTF NCR is not only real and operating, reporting directly to the Secretary of Defense for some of its mission, but some of its units are already on 24/7 alert, specially sequestered on military bases and kept out of CV support duties to ensure their readiness. That's very, very interesting if you ask me. Now, I knew that there was a contingency plan that if anything happened in Washington, D.C., whether it be an attack or any threatening situation, that they would move key personnel and so forth to an undisclosed location. And I think that that's good. And I think it's good that they don't tell us where it is, to tell you the truth, because in case of an attack, we want to know that the president of the country is safe. Well, most Americans want to know that the president of the United States is safe. But it's interesting that they are ready, that they are expecting, a surge in CV cases in Washington, D.C. and Maryland regions. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about this. Maybe you're in the military, or you have people that are in the military and you know about this special unit and what their duties are. Seems pretty straightforward. Their duty is to protect the president and to ensure continuity of government. So I guess it would apply to something as extreme as, the CV outbreak. If it were to become extremely problematic, like it is in New York City, then of course you'd want to make sure that the government is not catching it, because the government has enough problems as it is. Mainly the House, but they have enough problems without members dropping from COVID. Anyway, let's go back now, because there's more to get to, and we're going to get to it. That's right, we are. All right, now let's look at this, and this may possibly be outdated because I think the storms. When was this? No. That's old. I copied some of these over from things that I hadn't got to in previous videos. So some of it is outdated now, and that one is definitely outdated. But I do understand that there's very strong storms in the south today, and I have not heard, but I hope everybody is safe. They were supposed to be extreme storms, including tornadoes and so forth. So I hope everybody is safe. I really do. All right, let's look at this now. Yeah, very, very upsetting if you ask me. They're trying to normalize this. That is exactly what they're doing. They're trying to normalize this, and you're going to be seeing more and more of this on the mainstream media, be it talk shows or what have you. You're going to be seeing more of this because they want to make this normal. And it's not, because we know where it leads to. All right. Now, I can't help it that this is a little blurry. I'm going to make it big so that you people on your tiny phones can see it, but hopefully it's not going to make it just too blurry to see.
No, Basmati rice. So Patrick here is the CIO. Andy is a licensed body piercer, so let it rip. We're going to see this now. I got it.
He's injecting
I can't look.
a microchip that's the size of a grain of basmati rice.
Needle is in. Chip is in.
Bingo.
Not very much blood at all. Patrick, how'd it feel?
Better than get my wisdom teeth out.
Okay, and you're still conscious.
Yeah, I'm great.
Melissa got chipped yesterday, but you had to be talked into doing this. How long did it take you to say yes to this?
I was a little hesitant at first, but I had 7 days to think about it, and once I learned the facts, there was no question in my mind.
Okay, one last thing we want to show you over here. Hold on, Matt. Go ahead, Steve. They can buy their goodies here in the break room by just using their hand. Real quickly, he's going to get a Kit Kat bar. And it's paid for $1.06, guys. So the question again, as we asked you last week, are you ready to be chipped, guys? Let's first
No,
get this
I'm not.
Of a grain of basmati.
And I hope you aren't either. Apparently this was some company that is chipping all its employees, and it sounds wonderful because I know when I worked for Lowe's Corporation, I worked for the head office in Mooresville, North Carolina, And I had like a little puck on my car so that when I drove in, it recognized my car, that I could be there and was authorized to be there, and it would open, because otherwise there was a guy at a gate. And, as you pass the guy in the gate, you'd show them your ID and they'd let you through, because you could be driving somebody else's car. They still want to know that you are who you say you are and who the puck is registered to. So, but and we were there like long hours every day. They had a cafeteria there, which was phenomenal. But wouldn't it have been, I think back and I think, wouldn't it have been wonderful if it was just a chip and you could hold it up and they scan and you're on your way. It opens the gate for you. And if you could scan in the cafeteria and it'll pay for your food. And if there's an emergency, they can scan your chip and see your emergency medical information. I mean, wouldn't that be great? Sure, except for where all this is going to lead to. And that's the thing. It's hard to look at it today and say, oh, that's a bad idea. Because most people are going to say, what, are you nuts? But by the time it gets to where it's going to be, where you can't buy or sell without having that chip, well, then people are going to start saying, ooh, yeah, this is turning ugly. But it'll be too late then. So that's why them showing this is not, to me, it just raises red flags, a lot of them. All right, let's go back now. Even trying to hurry, I'm just not getting through as much as I want to. All righty. Now, let's look at this. And you've probably, of course, if you're in New York City, I'm sure you already are aware of this, but it says, how do you report places that aren't enforcing social distancing? It's simple. Just snap a photo and text it to 311-692. Hashtag Ask My Mayor. Well, thank goodness he's not my mayor, but let's listen to what he has to say. And isn't this like Nazi Germany? Reporting on your neighbors and spying, and you see something, say something. Now, and that's good. If you see some weird activity that could be terrorist or something, sure. But reporting on your neighbors, after all this is done, you still have to talk to those neighbors. Really. Have you ever watched that show, Fear Thy Neighbor? Yeah. Well, it's, what is it, on the Investigation Discovery Channel, I think. No, I don't know. It's on one of those crime channels, crime investigation, something like that. Anyway, it's all these people that had, troubles with their neighbors that turned really, really bad. So yeah, you can tattle on your neighbor, but after this is all done, you still have the same neighbor. So not so smart, if you ask me. Really, not so smart. But let's hear what he has to say.
New Yorkers, you have been extraordinary at social distancing. And let me tell you, it has taken every fiber of our beings to figure out how to do this, because we're warm, emotional people. We're used to being close to each other. We're used to being packed into subway cars, and we've had to do the exact opposite and figure out how to keep distance. It's not natural for us. It's not normal for us, but you've done it. You've done an amazing job. Now, look, thank you, everyone who's done it the right way, but we still know there's some people who need to get the message. And that means sometimes making sure the enforcement is there to educate people and make clear we got to have social distancing. So now it is easier than ever. When you see a crowd, when you see a line that's not distanced, when you see a supermarket that's too crowded, anything, you can report it right away so we can get help there to fix the problem. And now it's as simple as taking a photo. All you got to do is take the photo and put the location with it, and bang, send a photo like this, and we will make sure that enforcement comes right away. Text the photo to 311-692, and action will ensue. Enforcement will come to get the help we need, or you can use the 311 app, send that photo there, and you'll make sure immediately there's follow-up. Look, this is important. I want to keep reminding people, it's about saving lives.
Is it?
Sending that photo in is going to help make sure that people are kept apart, and that's going to stop the disease from spreading, and that's going to save lives.
Yeah, sending the photo in is not going to save lives. And I'll tell you why. Because if you are, say, in a crowded supermarket and you take the photo, how is that? If people have been too close and got infected, it's done already. Sending law enforcement there may help in terms of making sure that the supermarket or whatever is following orders, but come on. This is ridiculous. If you see a line where people aren't properly distanced, if you see a supermarket that's a little crowded, come on. I mean, this just is sounding more and more about like Nazi Germany. Like, seriously, it concerns me because this is getting out of hand. Like, arresting people that are sitting on a park bench by themselves. Come on, people. This is not normal. It's not normal. And, you sitting on a park bench by yourself, eating your lunch or whatever, is not affecting anyone. So I have a big problem with all this, and it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous. And what has happened is we've given our permission, and we're giving our permission because, if this wasn't a virus, and let's say it was something else, and they asked us to make concessions like this, we would be rioting in the streets, and some people are for good reason, especially in Michigan. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys feel differently, and that's okay, but I understand we want to save lives and all that, but why don't we do it for anything else? Why have we never done it for this? And I realize this is a whole different animal. It is. I mean, it's a whole other animal, but I don't know. I think that they're using this. They've created it, and now they're using it to take our freedoms from us. And I don't like that. All right. Okay, let's go on now, and let's look at this. Now, I don't know if you, if any of you saw that special One World Together at Home. I didn't, because I knew what it was about and what it was for, and I couldn't stomach it. But here is Brigitte Gabriel, and she is an awesome author, regular speaker on all sorts of programs. Anyway, Lady Gaga should get off her Hollywood high horse. She referred to WHO chief Dr. Tedros as a true superstar. Thousands of Americans are dead after faulty WHO CV data and information. The WHO lied to cover for Communist Party of China. Whose side are you on? Well, I'll tell you whose side I'm on, and it's not the side that WHO is on. All right. Okay. And this, COVID-19 and the collapse of cash. In my last article, I referred to, and this is by an economist, in my last article, I referred to how since fears of COVID-19 in the UK took root in March, cash usage has fallen dramatically. Well, I can also note that around here, it's very hard to get anybody to accept cash. And I understand that, because if I was working in there, I wouldn't want to accept people's dirty cash. Really, I wouldn't. Now, I noticed that Tim Hortons, they're still accepting cash, but they're wearing gloves, and they touch the cash, but they're not touching the food. So, I don't know. Anyway, cash usage has fallen dramatically. Whilst the drop off has been substantial, the trend of cash payments being in decline is long established. Based on early evidence, the coronavirus pandemic has exacerbated this decline. For context, in March 2019, access to cash review was published, which detailed the precarious state of Britain's cash network. The review, funded by Link, the UK's biggest cash machine network, showed that over the past decade, cash payments had fallen from 63% of all payments to 34%. To quote the report directly, a straight line trajectory of current trends would see an end of cash use by 2026. And of course, you know, I make all my payments online. I don't pay cash for anything. I use my debit card to pay my payments, or I have like things like my car and stuff goes onto my credit card, and then at the end of the month I pay off my credit card so I don't get any interest, and I keep my balance at zero always. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dream of paying a bill in cash. I just wouldn't. And I keep very, very little cash, you know, on my person, except for a little bit of change if I want to drink from a machine or something, but that's it. I don't know very many people that do carry around cash, except for some older people and people of my mother's age and my stepfather. They grew up and they took their money out of the bank for the week, and that's what they used. They took it out for groceries and whatever. They took out a certain amount and they kept that all week in their wallet and paid for everything out of that. And that's how they're used to doing things. And they don't feel comfortable using, you know, a debit card. My mom doesn't. I know that. And I told her she better get used to it, because I don't, you know, I don't see this disappearing anytime soon. Anyway, 12 months on, the predicament with cash is now far more serious. Before getting into that, here's a summary of where we find ourselves in regard to cash in the midst of CV. In January, the severity of CV spread in China became more apparent by the day. The first case of the virus was reported in the UK at the end of the month, weeks before cash usage began its descent. To give an idea of how the cash network infrastructure looked at the time, we can use Link's monthly ATM footprint report as a guide. The most recent report shows that between January 2018 and February 2020, the number of free-to-use ATMs had reduced from 54,500 to 45,000, a 17% drop in just 2 years that equates to 9,500 ATMs. News coverage on CV began to ramp up in February. A development that received only moderate attention was the news that the People's Bank of China had started to disinfect banknotes. According to Fan Yifei, the deputy governor of the PBOC, this was done to secure the public safety and health when using cash. It was around this time that the World Health Organization first reported that CV can be transmitted via contaminated objects. As yet, they had not specifically referred to physical money. The PBOC's decision to disinfect billions of yuan have you ever had like a brain fade? It's yuan, right? Is it not? It's gone from my mind. Was the first connection made between the use of cash and the possible spread of CV, but without any direct evidence. Okay, so this is going to be long, but basically it's saying that yeah, it's just saying that as this goes on, it's becoming more and more likely that we are going to see the end of cash, because cash is diminishing exponentially. And it really is, because I in a matter of, well, there's Xander. He's doing so much better after his surgery. You can barely see where they cut him for the surgery. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it was like a matter of a couple of weeks, like you could use cash and then you couldn't. And like, it just seems a little odd. And I understand why, but you could see where this is all leading. And that's what I'm getting to. This is all leading to a cashless society. And with the chip and everything, you can see where they are moving us to. They are programming us. They are, giving us predictive programming. They're showing us the microchips and stuff, and they're telling us about these new, Bill Gates wants to put your vaccine in a chip. and everything. I mean, it's just all leading to a cashless society, which we know there will be a cashless society in the last of the last days. We know that because the Bible says so, and I happen to believe it. Some of you are not believers, and I can respect that. We all have a choice, and we have free will. So yeah, I can respect your choice if you respect mine, and I definitely do believe that we are living in the last of the last days. All right, now let's go back here and see what other trouble we can get into. Yeah, did you know this? Maybe some of you did, but I bet some of you didn't. U.S. hospitals getting paid more to label cause of death as CV. Now, Dr. Scott Jensen says the American Medical Association is now encouraging doctors to overcount CV deaths across the country. Jensen received a 7-page document that showed him how to fill out a death certificate as a COVID-19 diagnosis, even when there isn't a lab test confirming the diagnosis. Right now, Medicare is determining that if you have COVID-19 admission to the hospital, you get $13,000, meaning the hospital gets $13,000. If that COVID-19 patient goes on a ventilator, you get $39,000, 3 times as much. Nobody can tell me after 35 years in the world of medicine that sometimes those kind of things impact what we do. Of course, they're human beings. And if your hospital is strapped for cash, well, you know, and you have somebody that has CV, well, put them on a respirator and your hospital will get even more, even though we know that those respirators are causing death. They are causing the death of people. And, you know, you can look that up yourself. I would not take my word for it, because, you know, I can be wrong, but that is what I've been hearing from those in the medical field. So this is absolutely bone chilling. And it says, watch the interview below. We're not going to watch that interview, but I think that's important that we know that. So if your loved one gets admitted to the hospital, I would caution about them getting the ventilator. I think it's far safer, and I'm not a doctor, so just disregard medical advice. I'm not giving medical advice, but I know that the drug cocktail that the president has been recommending works. It's working in the countries that are using it, and it's working. The doctors that are using it say it's working. So, yeah. All right, let's go back here and let's look at this. Can't remember what this is, but let's hope it's good. Oh, yes, yes, yes. The drones donated by DJI, a Chinese company, have gone to 43 agencies in 22 states. 43 agencies in 22 states, all to help enforce social distancing rules. U.S. using Chinese drones to spy on and lecture Americans about a virus caused by communist China. Oh, and DJI may be sending data to China. Why wouldn't they be? You know, really, I mean, if we were developing it in the States, don't you think we'd slip in technology there that could double? It could send, send the data back. That's what I would think. Now let's listen to this. It's 1 minute and 32 seconds. So
creative. We have to figure out a way to get to people that police cars can't get to.
Elizabeth City Police shot this video for us to show us how drones work. The drones make it easier for police to see into certain areas where access by patrol cars is more difficult. That includes tight spaces between buildings, behind schools, and in backyards. Failure to comply could lead to a summons or a $1,000 fine. You think the drones watching over people is a good idea or a bad idea?
I think at this point, it's worth a try.
It's just an invasion of your privacy.
The mayor's heard it all.
My answer to those people are, if these drones save one life, it is clearly worth the activity and the information that the drones are sending.
The drones donated by DJI, a Chinese company, have gone to 43 agencies in 22 states, all to help enforce social distancing rules. Authorities say the drones aren't taking pictures or collecting evidence. It's
Sure,
a
they're
high-tech
not.
warning against a deadly virus. One of the things Eamon and the authorities here say is that they expect as the weather gets warmer, more people will be outside and there's a tendency to group together. And they think the drones will be even more effective, or they say hope so, again, as the weather gets warmer. And they hope that as people see something, they'll say something.
Mayor's
Yeah, right. People are supposed to stay in and self-isolate all through the summer. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And yes, this is an invasion of privacy, and they're making it normal by means of this virus, and they're making this normal. Do you think that that's going to go away? Do you think these drones are just going to go away when the virus is gone? They're not. They're here to stay, because that's how it works. Once they take your freedom, you never get it back. Have we got back any of the freedoms we lost after 9/11? No. It's only gotten more and more and more restrictive. And, you know, I don't know. It's going to be impossible to walk all this back after all this is over. And it makes me very angry. I don't want drones spying on me. What if I'm on my balcony, sunbathing, and, a drone flies over? Says, oh, it's not taking pictures or sending any information. Bull crap, it's not. That wouldn't even make sense. Yeah, it just, I don't know. And it bothers me, the thought of being out walking by myself and having a drone fly over me and tell me, oh, you need to be inside or whatever. Or I'm walking with, someone and they're like, oh, you need to be 6 feet apart. Yeah, and now you can't even shoot a drone down because that's against the law now. Even though it's invading your privacy and your space, I figure if it's my house and somebody sends a drone over it, well, my brother, doesn't have the same, well, he's passed now, but he didn't have the same sense of strict morality that I do. And so he was asking me for something. He wanted to use my US address. And I said, why? And he said, oh, because, whatever. And I can't even remember all the ins and outs of that. But he had programmed, he needed my address, and he wanted my old satellite dish. And I gave him the satellite dish. He programmed it somehow to get free everything. I mean, he could get everything for free. And I said, how do you live with yourself? How can you do that? And he said, well, they're sending those airwaves over my house, so I just trap them. He said, well, if they're going to send airwaves across my house, then I'm going to trap them and use them. So I just think of that. And I think, if a drone is flying over my house, well, I just would like to shoot it down. I'm just saying how I feel. And the other thing is, I forgot what the other thing was. The other thing is that I forgot it. I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, yes. Now I know. All these UFOs people are seeing and all these bright lights and everything, and they're going at unnatural. Could they be drones? I mean, because now I do believe in UFOs. I just don't believe that they are from another planet per se. I believe that they are demons. Yes, they do fly in aircraft, some of them, because you go back into the book into scripture and you see instances like when Ezekiel saw a wheel in the sky, yeah. So anyway, that's neither here nor there, but there's all sorts of reports now about crazy lights over cities. And I'm thinking these are not UFOs, they're drones. That just makes sense to me. But anyway, all right, let's go on. I'm talking your hind leg right off. Okay, this by Jim Hoft. Just wondering how many CV victims need to be saved by hydroxychloroquine before Fox News stops calling it an unproven treatment for CV. Well, that's a good question. That's a good question because it's not unproven. It's been proven now. So there. All right. Now, and let's look at this just quickly. Trudeau is to fund abortion as part of a $159 million pledge to fight COVID-19 overseas. So please tell me what abortion has to do with COVID-19, because I'd like to know. 159 million. 159 million. Yep. Canada's feminist international assistance approach ensures support for sexual and reproductive health and rights. So just thought you'd like to know that. And I'm not going to belabor that. And I can't remember what this is, but let's look. Yes, look at this. They are filling the skate parks. And where is this? Los Angeles is filling the Venice skateboard park with sand in order to prevent gatherings. And I've heard that's not the only skate park. They're doing that too. Who's going to clean up that mess afterwards? And don't we have a better use for money than that? When there are so many homeless people in Los Angeles? Are you kidding me? But they've got lots of money to fill the skate park with sand. Who's going to clean that up? Really? Who? You think they're going to go back and clean that up? Because I don't think they are. I think that's despicable. It's despicable. And sickening. And, you know, how are they going to, like, seriously, how are they going to get all that sand out? And that sand can be deadly for somebody on a skateboard. So, I don't know. Not that I'm any skateboard connoisseur, but okay, I've never been on a skateboard. All right. And let's look at this. Yeah, this is very interesting, and this should prove a lot. India had only 350 CV deaths with a population of 1.3 billion residents and only 350 deaths. Oh, why, you ask? Why? Well, after heeding President Trump's advice in March, India began recommending and subsequently administering hydroxychloroquine to its citizens diagnosed with COVID-19. 350 deaths in a population of 1.3 billion people. But yeah, you're right, it doesn't work. Right. Okay, now let's see what else we can get to. I'm almost out of time here. Yeah, 50% of Los Angeles is now unemployed. Yeah. Now, let me see. Okay. One more, and this is it for tonight anyway. All right. Now, if this doesn't make you angry, then you've had too much to drink. Or you've been smoking too much dope. One or the other. Okay, Michelle Obama, or perhaps you're just on Valium. I don't know, but it should make you mad. Michelle Obama given PBS show after Democrats gave public broadcaster $75 million in CV relief bill. The Democrats gave them $75 million. They gave Michelle Obama her own show. See how that works? Former First Lady Michelle Obama has been given a show by PBS starting next week. The taxpayer-funded network announced Friday. The timing of the announcement comes after Democrats marked $75 million for PBS's parent, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, in the CV relief bill that passed at the end of March. Newsbusters reported the $75 million is on top of the $465 million given CPB in the current year's federal budget, which is an increase of $20 million over the previous year. Local PBS and NPR stations received funding from CBP as well as donations from the public, businesses, and charitable foundations. Yeah. When a crisis hits and massive legislative package is organized to meet it, it's never surprising when Democrats go to supporting their own media assets. So there on page 746 of the 854-page stimulus bill is a provision granting $75 million to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to prevent, prepare for, and respond to CV, including for fiscal stabilization grants to public telecommunication entities. This isn't about keeping the public informed, since every other news network is offering CV information nearly 24/7. This is about maintaining the PBS and NPR stations. The bill directs the CPB to take out no administrative costs to pass the money along to maintain programming and services and preserve small and rural stations threatened by declines in non-federal revenues. Yeah. Mondays with Michelle Obama. Read along. PBS for Kids. The Gruffalo. Join her for a reading on April 20th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Obama will be hosting a weekly children's show for the next 4 weeks, reading books to kids who are being kept at home while schools are closed due to pandemic stay-at-home orders. Well, there you go. At least it's not a political show, but still. Yeah. She's not looking so good. I mean, you know what I mean. Don't take she literally. All right. That is it for tonight. I am going to stop there, and I will be back, I do believe, tomorrow, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, stay fit, stay frosty, my friend. Okay, I've been by myself for too long. Yeah, I think I'm losing it. No, really, I think I am. Okay, guys, good night. Keep seeking truth.